Okay, this is going to show my adventure in putting together the 1-Up Attack from Mars pinball machine. Decided to film this in regular aspect ratio so I wouldn't look quite as fat as last time. As you can see, also I've decided to put on a little bit better clothes. Basically my little sweatsuit. So it comes in a pretty heavy-duty box, relatively heavy unit, because everything's pretty much all compacted together. I don't know why I decided to do an entire film of me taking the box, but I figured it'd give you an idea of what the entire box looks like as taking it apart. As you can see me slothing around here trying to pull the box off of it. It came pretty good shape, no problems with the shipping and so forth. It's a box in a box, so, it's relatively easy to deal with, and very little trouble involved in unpacking it. As you open it, you can see that the feet are right there on top. They're very heavy duty. They're very strong and heavy feet. You got plenty of styrofoam and so forth. Repacking it should not be a major difficulty, except obviously the back box, which I did not know this when I bought it, has to be built, and that's what the whole putting it together is really all involved is putting it all together, back box and so forth. Now here I'm sliding it out. Make sure you have a nice soft surface. As it turns out, this particular carpet here is very, very soft, so it's very safe for me to slide the actual unit itself on the carpet. So, no real concerns here. That's basically the main cabinet itself. Not massively huge, a little on the small side, especially compared to my Legends pinball. But came in good order, fully wrapped with plastic and so forth. Now, this is where all the accessories are for this particular unit. That would be the little desiccant. Do not eat, except of course I try to eat it, but whatever. I mean, what else is new with me? I didn't get this rotund of a size eating nothing all my life. Now you can see it has all the parts here listed. I'm going to show you the instructions as it came through. This is a listing of all the parts that come with it. You will need a screwdriver. Unfortunately, I happen to have a crappy screwdriver that I used with it, but it still worked nonetheless, so that was not a problem. And of course, you got your power plug and so forth, but, I don't know why. I'm not very good at making these videos, but I just wanted to give you a general idea of all the parts that came in, what it looks like, and so forth. One of the things you got to keep in mind, it does come with like one extra of pretty much all the screws and all the dowels. One little interesting thing I found that some of the dowels are a little longer than others when they're not really supposed to be, so there is some manufacturing issues with the little wooden dowels. It's not that big an issue. Everything comes wrapped in plastic, keep it from getting scratched up. It's got some very nice art on the side of the cabinet and all the parts. So this is all the parts laid out. All of them are listed. Now here's the first instruction set hookup, where you're basically going to be putting these little pieces on the sides. It does tell you to put dowels. The dowels will tend to fall out. I mean, you could glue them, but I don't recommend gluing them because they're not all proper size. So basically, you're just screwing in these little, like L brackets is what I would call them. This is also one of the first pieces I actually had a mistake, and you notice there's a little cutout on the edge. Very important that you set that cutout in the right direction. You'll see that me being the doofus that I am, I did it wrong. You also see me putting some of the dowels eventually on the side. They all fall out every time you move it back and forth. So keep your dowels to the side and be ready to put them in, or you can slide them in, but just keep that in mind. Your next step, obviously, is just sliding one side into the other using the dowels, and you'll be screwing it in. I believe this is where I made my first mistake. And I didn't find this out until a little bit later as I was using the machine. As I was putting the machine together, that obviously I had put it in the wrong way. Now, you obviously screw that in. I screwed that in backwards. The actual cutout needed to be the other direction. I didn't learn this until a little bit later as I went through. You got another step now. You're putting another part together. Basically, this is where your speakers are. You're involving a couple of screws and, of course, dowels. I'd be using a regular Phillips head screwdriver. And at some point here, I will eventually figure out that I kind of screwed this up. But it does go one particular way, and that particular part, well, let me see if I got it right here listed, if I'm looking at it right here correctly, because it's kind of hard to look at it here. You just hook it up to, yeah. All right, I just want to make sure I had all the screws put in correctly. So I'm just showing everything as it is screwed in and putting in the dowels on the edges and so forth. Now, as I start putting it together, if you look at the illustration, there is a little notch. That's where the power line for your backlight is going to go through. And if you look closely, I have the piece backwards. The piece labeled F, I put it on backwards. And not the brightest guy in the world. I'm not very good at putting things together. And being Jewish, I'm not very good with tools. So at this point, I'm putting it all together. And, you know, everything looks fine to me. I don't see that's wrong. You can actually see that it's wrong just looking at it. Now comes the time to put the actual light board in the back. And this is, after a while, you'll see me floundering around here trying to figure out, how am I supposed to put this on? I mean, it'll fit on, but the line's going to get smushed, or it's going to have to push around an edge without a opening in it. And as you can see, obviously there is, right there, an opening right there. That's where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the other way around. Being an idiot, I put it in backwards. So be real careful. Don't be an idiot like me. Don't be stupid. And here I am trying to figure it out and what's going on. And at this point, we do the Enterprise computer, and here I go. I'm going through all the manual. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Looking and looking and looking, trying to figure out how I messed this up. I'm not the most clever person, and since going forward didn't work, we're going to go backwards. And we're going to look through to see, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? I hate it when I make stupid mistakes like this, and I was very careful while putting this together. It's just part of my general doofusness. Here it is. I'm going to speed it up, me taking it apart to try to get it back together the correct way to get back to the position. It wasn't all that difficult to fix. Basically, I just had to flip part F over so it was facing the other direction. A little bit of work here to do in order to take it apart. Don't be stupid like me. Get it done right the first time. Again, it wasn't all that difficult to fix, but it was obnoxious that I had made the mistake in the first place. And now we'll get into our next part where we're going to be putting in the backlight. Yay! Back to the right position again to put the backlight in. Backlight should slide in very nicely, obviously using dowels and screws. Definitely not a problem once you have this thing done correctly. Now, why I decided to show you all 4 screws going in, I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to be kind of cool while doing it here. Why, I really don't know. Next, we got the top part to put on, which basically just kind of hangs on the top, and then you'll be using 2 screws to put that on. Obviously, at first I tried to, just laid it on top, and it would fall off and so forth. But basically, after making that first mistake, I'm being extra careful about everything I do here, because the last thing in the world I want to do is have to take this stupid thing apart again. As annoying as it is to put this together, and it really isn't all that hard. I'm just very lame-brained. It's not that hard to put together. If you pay attention and if you don't have neuropathy in your brain, which apparently I do, because, anyone who would have paid any attention would have found out it's pretty simple to put it together the right way. So basically, you got 2 screws there to put the top on, and then that'll take care of one side and, of course, the bottom with the speakers facing, and the backlight is in. Next, we got your nice little header on there that says Attack from Mars. This is an Attack from Mars machine. It has 10 different video games on it. Attack from Mars is one of its primary games. Fantastic Williams game. It's actually a very pretty little graphic. I kind of like it. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but it's very simple. Basically, it just slides right into place. As you can see, it shows it sideways. You just slide it down in and put it right on in. Not all that difficult. This is really not a very difficult thing to put together, as long as you have a screwdriver and you have a brain. Not something of which, well, I had a bad screwdriver and a mushy brain. But either way, I got it back in. Everything's sliding together. It's finally coming together. Now, this is where I really started to find out about some of the wooden dowels that comes with it not being the right size. Because, as you'll see, as I start putting this together and I put it down, if you just watch kind of closely, it's kind of wobbly. And the reason it's wobbly is that one of the dowels, maybe one or two of the dowels, were a little bit on the longer side than the others. And just had to take it out. It wasn't a big deal. Taking one dowel out wasn't going to hurt anything. After all, the whole thing's going to go on with 7 screws. So, you know, one little dowel missing, one or two little wooden dowels missing is really not going to make any difference once your screws are in. So it's not something to be really concerned about, but just keep in mind, if you start sticking in some of the dowels and some of them stick out more than others, you just got some faulty dowels. You can always cut them if you want to make them fit better. The typical wooden little dowels that come with these things. Kind of cheap and cheesy, but it doesn't really matter. They're mainly made there just to make things more sturdy, hold them all together, and so forth. And it works very well. Here we go. The back box is pretty much all together at this point. I think I'm just peeling off a sticker here. The last part, this part actually was a bit of a pain in the ass. You'll probably need a short, squat screwdriver to get these screws in. I found these very annoying to put in. It's not difficult. It's just annoying. It's a bad position. Next are the legs. Now you got to be careful of the legs. They are marked. All of them are marked, as you can say, J and K, and they will have stickers on them. They are specific. Make sure you put the K's on the edges where the K's go and the J's on the edges where the J's go. I'm happy to say I managed to do this right the first time. I didn't think it was possible, but it did happen. Now, these legs are very sturdy. I was very happy with how sturdy these legs are. And I thought the quality was actually very good. So, I mean, the overall unit's actually not a bad little unit, and I'm pretty happy with the quality. Sorry if the sound starts getting weird, because I'm sitting there trying to look around my camera here in order to find, sorry about any noise, in order to find the scan bar here so I can keep up with the video. But basically, this just shows me putting on various ones. This uses the Allen wrench that it comes with. These Allen bolts screw in very nicely, very tightly, and it holds the legs on very well. After that, you just flip the machine over and stand it up, and everything, you'll be ready to start working on putting the back box on. Here's a nice view of my bald spot, as also known in my last video as my yarmulke spot. Here you got a couple of your lines that have to come through. Basically, I believe they're like the HDMI and volume power lines and so forth that need to come through the back box from the bottom. And you just lay the back box on. Putting the back box on is really not all that difficult. The only thing that kind of sucks about it is because it is Allen wrench and so forth. You can't sit there and just sit there and spin it to connect it. It would be nice if you could just spin it, but you're turning, pulling out, re-aiming, turning, pulling out, and so forth in order to put in these bolts. It's not that big a deal, but it would have been nice if I could have just screwed them on with a short screwdriver. I don't know why they use Allen wrench bolts. I guess it's just easier, at least that way you have pretty much everything you need. Why? I really don't know. But it is what it is. Next, you've got various connectors you have to hook up. An HDMI, I believe one is power, or one is for the backlight, and one is for either for the speakers or for the power. You can't mess them up. Pretty much each one goes into a particular spot. They're very easy to figure out, and the plugs just pop right in. Their length is perfect. There's none of this, oh, you got to stretch it, it doesn't fit, and it's a pain in the ass, and so forth. So that's not going to be an issue for you at all. So yeah, just pop those little puppies in, get it all set. They snap in very comfortably, and it's not an issue. Why I need to show all this, I don't know. I just wanted everyone to see how it's put together, and hopefully it'll give you a good idea what you're up for, and that it's generally easy. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Next, you have the backing. It has 2 screws. If you want it to stay on, you're going to need to use screws. I guess you could put some Velcro in there somehow if you want to hold it up. I tried putting there, was hoping it would just stay up, but no, you do have to put the screws in there if you don't want it to flop out. Just FYI for all those who are just hoping to keep it from popping out. Next, of course, is pulling off all the plastic and making sure it looks all pretty and lovely. It's actually a nice little machine. Small. A little smaller than I would have liked. I mean, it's small as in the screen is kind of small, but it's still very nice, and I still think it's very nicely put together. The last part, of course, is setting up your plug. It's a basic power plug with the power converter adapter right there is in the center of it, and it has a little tail line that comes out of the back of the machine to plug it in. Simple, easy as pie. Once we get past this, next we're going to show you general gameplay, and I'm going to give you my impressions. Now, the sound quality that comes out of this machine is surprisingly good. I think they really took care of the fidelity very well to make it sound pretty good coming out of those two little speakers. The one thing you'll notice is, at least in comparison to the Legends Pinball, is the screen is at 720p. So it looks a little fuzzy in my opinion. It's good enough to play, but it's a little fuzzy. If this is the old pinball machine, it won't bother you. Also, the screen is small. It's like 24 inches as opposed to 32 on the Legends Pinball. I wish the screen were bigger. What's nice is that there is a lot of upgrades available out there, and people who have made it possible to put 32-inch monitors in there and so forth, and all sorts of other upgrades you can do. A few things that I did notice about it and that I want to comment. I don't think it responds very well to shaking, which is a big disappointment to me. Gameplay was very good. Also, the knockers in it for the that represent the pinball flipper presses. There's a way to make it louder. They're down at the bottom of the cabinet, so they don't really feel all that well, all that loud. You can move them up a little higher. There are videos, again, online that'll tell you how to do this. I thought it was pretty nice. I was a little disappointed in the picture quality. I like the dot matrix display. I thought the picture quality was a little just fuzzy because it's 720 versus the 1080 of the Legends. Sound quality was excellent. Gameplay was pretty good, but it doesn't respond as well to shaking as I would have liked. And that's all I got to say. I think it's a pretty good little machine, and this is what it takes to put it together. Verdier out.